Welcome to Swing State University, a college golf and lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, James Boone. And joining us this week from UNC Charlotte, Junior, Daniel Boone. This episode of Swing State University is brought to you by 2-Puck Coffee. Success on the course starts with a solid routine, and 2-Puck Coffee is the fuel that keeps golfers focused and relaxed. Collegiate golfers interested in 2-Puck's newly launched ambassador program that includes exclusive product discounts, social media exposure, brand collaborations, and more can email hello@2puckcoffee.com with the subject line College Ambassador to find out more. And as a token of appreciation, Swing State University listeners can take 30% off their next order through 2puckcoffee.com using the code SwingStateU. That's SwingState and the letter U for 30% off any order of grade 1 single origin coffee and merch. Play relaxed and focus on what counts with 2-Puck Coffee. All right, mic check. I'm going to start with a story. From the years, I would say around 10 until about 20 years old, my mom would dust off this book and she would just say, "Hey, James, like, you need to read this. Like, look at this book. You need to read this. There's this picture of this guy on the cover of the book." And she would always say, this guy looks like your dad, doesn't he? He looks like your dad, doesn't he? I'm like, "Mom, like, I don't want to read this book. I don't need to read all this." But she kept antagonizing me, instigating. Is like, "Hey, you need to read this book." Well, the title of the book is Squire Boone, The Adventures of Daniel Boone's Less Famous Brother. And so if you delineate Squire Boone, if you follow his trajectory, his bloodline would end up leaving you in Western Kentucky, where they have, 4 generations of my family at this point. My great-grandpa, grandpa, my dad, and then now me. And so looking back on it, my mom was advocating for, hey, man, inform yourself about your heritage, like where you're coming from. And I think in a lot of ways, this episode of Swing State University is actually the perfect depiction of what is currently happening in modern day. I played a little bit of college golf. That's cool. Our guest today plays a lot of college golf. He's very, very good at college golf. And in a lot of ways, I would actually say that title, Squire Boone, The Adventures of Daniel Boone's Less Famous Brother, I think that analogy actually can be extended because I have a family member, I have a relative on air today that I'm super, super excited about, who's also far and away a much better golfer, much more famous golfer, I'll actually say, a top 150 golfer in the country. We have joining on the show today, we talked about this off air, my cousin, Daniel Boone Jr. from UNC Charlotte, 21st ranked in the nation, Charlotte 49ers. Daniel Boone, thank you so much for hopping on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm fired up to be here. It's gonna be a blast.
Thanks so much for hopping on. I've studied it just a little bit. I've heard that there were 5 Boone families that came over from England. They, arrived on the eastern seaboard of the United States, North Carolina, Kentucky, and then eventually Daniel Boone, I think he got annexed from the state of Kentucky, and then he settled out in Missouri and started building communities out there. But incredible history. Daniel, do you know anything about kind of like where your name comes from? A little bit about family history and things like that?
Probably not as much as I should. I mean, yeah, I got everybody coming up to me, especially nowadays it's kind of turning into the little bit of the older generation that really knows who Daniel Boone is. And then like daily life, I'll have someone come up to me like, "Do you know who you're named after?" And I always give them the same response. I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I think there'd be some kind of problem going on if I didn't know who I was named after." But my family's done some research. I'm not sure exactly what they did or how they did it, but they came to the conclusion that somewhere down the line, we do have some lineage back to the true Daniel Boone. And as far as I know, that's who my grandparents named my dad after. And then I was named after my dad, obviously, as I've got Junior bringing up the end of my name. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I used to not like it. Because I didn't know anything. I had all these people coming up to me. "Do you know who you're named after?" As a 9-year-old kid, I'm like, "No, I've got no clue." And so at first I didn't really like it. But as I've gotten older, I've come to respect what's special behind it. And I'm definitely grateful and feel blessed to have a name like I do. And it comes with its ups, but some would also argue it would come with its downs just because have a name like this, it's very recognizable. So whether you do good or you do bad, it's going to be remembered just simply because everybody says it's a hard name to forget. So
Yeah. There's a guy who's playing college golf right now. I don't know if it's at JMU, but there's a Happy Gilmore playing right now.
yeah,
Yeah, something like that. So I feel like it has a little bit more staying power. Maybe there's a little bit more
Mhm.
history tied to it.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I never thought about this, but to your point on being a little ashamed or embarrassed of your name whenever you're little, I remember people coming up to me like, "Oh, like Daniel Boone, right?" And whenever you're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, the only picture you had in your head about Daniel Boone was wearing a coonskin hat and, like, running
yeah,
around and, you know, didn't know much about his history or legacy or anything like that, and so I was always a little bit insecure about that. But you're right, like, there's so much importance to name and, like, being able to grow into it, being proud of, your roots or lineage, whether it's a good or bad lineage, the weight you carry it matters, so that's I
absolutely.
never thought of it like that. Daniel, let's get things kicked off. Obviously, we're gonna highlight, your career here at Charlotte. The last 3 years, that's just been nothing but just like steady progression, taking steps in the right direction. But I would love to hear a little bit about, origin stories, people who introduced you to the game of golf and what led you to being interested in the first place.
Yeah, so my dad, he was actually a college athlete. He played baseball at East Carolina University. So he enjoyed sports, enjoyed being around them, just the atmosphere. He picked up golf in college towards his kind of junior, senior year. He picked it up and just really fell in love with it once he graduated from ECU and was done playing baseball. He definitely was a main introduction to golf
Mhm.
because the way he looked at it was I'm going to introduce him to as many sports as I can and just see which ones he picks up on. And I picked up heavy on baseball and golf, and those are kind of the two that I've mainly stuck with. I played a little bit of basketball here and there, whether it be like a rec league or middle school basketball, but it was mainly golf and baseball that I really, really kind of fell in love with.
So it was kind of natural. It's like, hey, dad's going out to play. Just gonna come with them. And so you're just kind of in the mix.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, at what point did you just going out and playing with dad obviously, he was a good athlete in his own right. You probably have some of those genes. Oh, I'm curious if Daniel Boone, like the OG, like, he's probably a good athlete. Don't know if he played any golf or any sports, but he was probably running around doing whatever the heck he was doing. So, like, there's probably a baseline athleticism, but I'm curious why if you had exposure to other sports, but to baseball, to basketball, you had exposure to other sports, but what about golf intrigued you?
I think for me, it was just the individual factor of it. Like I played baseball, I was all thrown in with the team aspect, loved it. That's what
Mhm,
I miss most about baseball, which I do have now with playing college golf. But I think I just love the individuality of it. There's nobody to blame your mistakes on or any of that. You just kind of go out there. If you're playing by yourself, it's just you, nature,
mhm,
and I don't know. I think I just loved that aspect of it. I don't even know how to describe it, but I clicked so well with the game of
mhm.
golf and just really fell in love with it.
How much of it was tied to you having success? Like, obviously, you played other sports, but with golf, was there any part of it that was like, "Hey, yo, my ceiling may be a little bit higher in this sport compared to other sports." Did that have anything to do with it?
Yeah, I think that definitely played a role in my final decision to play golf over baseball. But I was always told like I was pretty good. Kids can have a bright future, all that. But it took a lot longer for me to actually realize it. Once I did kind of realize it and realize that I enjoyed playing golf
Mhm,
more, just everything that involved it, whether it's practicing, being out on the course, all of that. I enjoyed that the most. That's kind of when I decided, like, hey, I think I'm going to pursue golf here
mhm.
because my dad, I played baseball pretty competitively throughout what 8th grade. I played like on my middle school baseball team. I played travel ball, and it was getting so hectic.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
to play a sport at a highly competitive level, it's really tough to do multiple. And so my dad came to me. We had just gotten back from a baseball tournament, I believe, and we were sitting in the driveway and at this point, I think I was still sitting in the back of the car. I hadn't even gotten shotgun privileges yet. And he looked at me, he was like, "Now, I'm not telling you to pick one or the other, but if you want to play one of these sports at the highest level, it's probably time to start looking into which one you want to play."
Mhm.
And I don't know the timeline or how much longer this was after he asked me that, but at some point I had just gotten back from school. I think it was a Wednesday, and we had batting cage practice. So we were in the cages inside for baseball and went upstairs, threw on my golf clothes, got to the top of the stairway, and I see my dad at the bottom. And he's like, "All right, you got baseball practice. Like you got to change out of the golf clothes. We got to go to the cages."
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, "Man, are you kidding me?" Like,
Mhm.
ready to go to the golf course. I want to go
Mhm.
play golf. And I got to the point where I kind of started dreading baseball practice. Loved the tournament atmosphere, playing the games, being there with the team, but I dreaded the practice part. Once I got to practice and was around the guys, it was fine, but I just dreaded the part of actually going to practice, and that's what really made me take the notch of golf over baseball is I enjoyed that practice aspect a lot more,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I do think my ceiling was a little higher in golf, which I can't say the other just because 'cause I'd never pursued baseball at the
Sure.
highest
Yeah.
level, but
You'll never know.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. The people I've met, the things
Mhm.
I've done so far, it just I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm very blessed to be where I'm
Mhm.
at right now.
I think there's some really cool insight that your dad had, probably knowing that the level that he played baseball at, being able to stop you and for him to be like, "Hey, it's probably time for you to choose." I think because he played at that level of baseball, it probably held a little bit more weight of like, "Hey, he probably actually knows what he's talking about," whether you
Mhm,
interpreted that at the time or not. There's probably some foresight there of, "Hey, in order to maximize this, you do need to pick."
mhm.
Yeah,
'Cause he played every sport imaginable in high school, just because that's what you did back then. You
for
ran
sure,
track, you played baseball,
for sure.
you played football, played basketball, all that, and so he had some schools show interest in him to play football and baseball. So, looking back on it now, he had the opportunity to play 2 sports at the highest level, and so, kinda looking back, like you just said, doing a little foreshadowing or hindsight 2020, you look back and you're like, wow, he had a pretty good idea and really knew what he was talking about there because he's seen how college sports have progressed and how much more serious everything is. It's a
Mhm,
lot harder to play multiple sports at once just
mhm.
with the way the athletics are going in today's world.
Was he bummed that you didn't choose the baseball route?
I don't think so. He's
Mhm,
always told me that he would 100% love and support whichever decision I made. I think he would have loved to see me go play baseball just because he played
mhm,
baseball. He's always had a huge love for baseball. But I think to some extent, he has enjoyed going down the golf route
mhm,
as much as he could. That's actually something I've never really asked him or given a lot of thought into,
mhm.
but I think he's grateful that I went down the route of golf and very, very happy with how everything's turned out. So,
For sure. Yeah, and it's clear that you whatever potential people saw in you whenever you were younger, it is true. You are fulfilling that potential, and I'm sure he sees that, and he's super stoked for you. I can relate to those weekends of, middle school baseball, playing USSSA, going to, like, different tournaments, being in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky or Tennessee or
eh,
Alabama or wherever, and being like, "Man, was that the best use of our time?" And me and my dad reflect on those memories now, and it seems a little aimless, and it seems like, "Man, this is kind of a waste of money."
yeah,
But we have some really cool memories to look back on, even with how hectic it actually was.
yeah, for sure.
I also think baseball practices are super inefficient. Obviously, you can do cage work. If you're a pitcher, there are, band exercises you can do all the time
Mhm.
and technique and all this stuff. At the same time, I just remember middle school baseball, just being in the outfield, spitting sunflower seeds for 4 hours,
Yeah,
taking BP or whatever. I'm like, this is so inefficient. To whereas for golf, you could literally could just be at the range and working on wedges for 30-minute slots, going to putting for 30-minute slots, much more efficient. To your
yeah,
point.
yeah. I think I was pretty lucky in the sense of baseball. I'm either pitched, which
Mm.
is what my dad did. So I'll give some credit to him with the
Yeah.
athletic ability to
Let's
do
go.
that.
Let's go.
But I was either at shortstop or I was pitching. I got lucky. If I was on the field, I saw a lot of action, which I really enjoyed, which was nice. But yeah, right there to your point, baseball practice at that level can be very, very inefficient. Yeah, I think once you get to school or college, you start to see practice becoming a lot more efficient. A lot of it's just from simple coaching staff. You got a lot more coaches, you got position coaches, all that. But yeah, you can go out to the golf course and do whatever you want for however long you want to do it. But when you go out there and
Yeah.
get on a sanctioned baseball practice, it's kind of like, all right, infielders are getting the next 15. I'm just going to sit out here and pick flowers in the outfield until it's my turn to get some fly balls.
Yeah. No one's on deck when you're on the driving range.
Yeah,
It's you the
exactly.
whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
Alright, so you pivot from, "Hey, dad, like, I'm making this decision. I'm gonna play golf." At what point do you see yourself I guess the question is, at what point for you did playing collegiately become a reality?
I think for me that in my head, I always told myself like, you're good enough to do this. Like, go play pro golf, go play college golf. You're good enough to do it all. But I think, like, to your point, there's a difference between saying that to yourself and actually coming to the realization of, hey, this is a legit possibility. This is something that I could achieve. And I think for me, it was my freshman year. Is either my freshman year or the summer in between freshman and sophomore year of high school. I played in the AJGA event in Pinehurst at Longleaf. I was a good golfer. I think I struggled a little bit with self belief and how good I really was or could be. In that tournament, I think I was 5 under for the tournament and came in second place. And I think that event is kind of where
Hmm.
I realized it. And my dad's told me that that's where he's realized it as well. Like, okay, there could be a pretty competitive future in this sport, showing glimpses of he could have what it takes here. And I think that catapulted my junior golf career a little bit, just from sheer confidence standpoint. After that event, I believed in myself more than I had before, just because I'd never really seen results like that in a tournament. Because at that age, like playing in a lot of local stuff, nothing special. And then you hear the word HAGA and you're like, "Oh, okay, like that's the PGA Tour of junior golf," is
Mhm.
kinda what you tell yourself. And so being able to go out and compete in one of those, that was a huge confidence builder for me, and I
Mhm.
think that's when I kinda started to, "Hey, that I could have a real shot at a future in this game."
Obviously, there are timetables when coaches can begin speaking to you. Can you talk about at what point did that become a reality for you? And then also, I'm curious for you, obviously you break out, your freshman year at Pinehurst. At what point for you did you start receiving looks? What did communication with coaches look like? Did you have to go seek some people out on your own? Or once you place well enough in an event like that, you probably have coaches reaching out to you, but can you walk us through that recruitment process?
Yeah, so, I think it was when was it? It was probably 6 months before the window opened for coaches being able to reach out to players. My dad had me make a list of 5 schools, like 5 dream schools, realistic or not, just 5 dream schools. And then 5, like, okay, these are very legit possibility schools. And I think looking back on it, the funniest part of that now is I don't think I would want to go to any of those 5 dream schools that I wrote down,
Ooh.
and Charlotte wasn't on either of those lists.
Let's get into that because that is I love that. I love that. Why do you say that about those 5 schools that you put in your top 5? Maybe it was because you were a 16-year-old and you didn't know what you're talking about or thinking, but, like,
Uh-huh.
why do you reflect on that now and are like, "Yeah, I don't know if I would've been happy at those schools."
I think, looking back on it now, one of the biggest things for me is just, in a sense, like, the idea of being able to kinda dip your toes in the water. I don't think I wouldn't have played at those schools my freshman, sophomore year, and at one or a couple of them, maybe not even now. Just they wouldn't have been the right fits. Kinda stories I've heard about certain programs or certain atmospheres. There's nothing wrong with any of them. No knocks towards any of them. Just I don't think they would have been the best fit for me and for who I am as a person. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just when you're kind of going through that recruiting process, I feel like a lot of people, and I fell victim to this too, is like, I only want attention from the big schools, like go big or go home. I only want to go
Mhm.
play at these highest level places. And then where I am now, looking back on it, it's like, well, first off, at that point in your golf career, you probably weren't good enough to go play at any of those places. You've been told you had the potential to
Hmm.
be good enough to play there, but you just at that point in your career, you weren't good enough to go play at any of those places. So I think the biggest thing for me is just playing time. Like you got to understand, you need to go somewhere that you're going to be able to play. Quality of the program, it's important, but it's not end all be all. And I'm not like there's so many good golf programs out there now, and
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that's very overlooked in the golf world is there's so many good programs out there now.
Mhm.
Like last year, we were at an event in California and we were playing against, gosh, what school was it? I can't remember the name of them, but they were the number one ranked Division II school in the country at the
Yeah. Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
And at that point, we were pretty
Mhm.
respectable Division I program. I think we were around 40, 45, somewhere in that range in the country. It was like we were toe to toe with them down the wire. And I think that's one thing that's very overlooked in whether it be recruiting or just college golf in general is just the depth of quality golfers and quality programs
Mhm.
that are available.
I've seen it play out where you kinda laid out guys going to a DT school and being able to, plant and excel and thrive. I've seen it play out where junior golfer gets his dream school. You talk about making your list of 5 schools, your dream schools. A junior golfer gets his dream school, goes to the dream school, never plays, and then tries to backtrack that decision and goes
Mhm,
to maybe a mid-major, lower major, and because they don't have those reps and they don't have that confidence, which is probably the biggest thing because they're not having that getting playing time, frankly. They go back and they're kind of late to the party, if you will.
mhm.
Like I've seen careers take a really awkward pivot because they went too high in the first place. Which it sounds like in your case, you went to a place, and maybe like you said, it wasn't maybe on your dream school list, but you went to a place where you could get in, grow. It was an environment that you could grow and at your pace, where you didn't have to
Mhm.
feel like you had to perform immediately. But was that something that stuck out in the recruiting process at UNC Charlotte with Coach Cabo of, "Man, I could see myself being here and having a longer runway."
Yeah, I mean, throughout the recruiting process, I heard so many positives about the Charlotte program and about Cabo. Just simply my first ever interaction with him, which is kind of a funny story. It leaves a mark on you. Like I'll never forget that first interaction with him in person, face to face. But yeah, going back to your point, I think that looking back on it, I kind of think I maxed out where I was at the time by given the opportunity to come to Charlotte, a
Mhm.
school that has won multiple conference championships, a school that's competitive in NCAA regionals
Yes.
with opportunities to make it to national championships. And I look at it and came into this program as just no clue what to expect.
Mhm.
And here we are now, a very, very good team this year. Last year, we've had multiple very, very good teams since I've been here at Charlotte.
Mhm.
And I think that speaks a lot to Cabo as well, with just kind of the reputation that he holds from the outside looking in
Mhm.
and from the inside of this program with what's expected of players and everything.
I think that's an interesting part of your journey as well. It wasn't like you were settling. I mean, Charlotte's
Mhm,
been historically a top 40 program since Cabo has been there, currently ranked 21 in the nation. So it wasn't like you were settling in any capacity.
mhm,
And Cabo is as of a respected of a coach in the NCAA. I saw that just from spending time with Austin King, who you got to spend some time with in the recruiting process.
mhm.
Just kind of the way he carries himself in those arenas is really cool. What advice would you give to some juniors coming up right now, trying to make their college decision?
I think the biggest thing that I would say is just having the understanding of it's not a go big or go home industry. Sometimes the best things you can do are go somewhere you know you're going to play, get the reps
That's so
and get
good.
the confidence, especially with where the transfer portal's going. Like it's rare to see a kid go somewhere and stay there all 4 years. So I think the biggest thing is just knowing that wherever you decide, whether you want it to or not, may not be the final destination of your college golf journey. So go somewhere that you know you like the coaches, you like the team, you like the atmosphere and the culture that the team is built on, and somewhere that you're going to be able to find your way into the lineup pretty early and just be able to build that confidence.
And it seemed like transitioning into your freshman year, you were given the opportunity, whether you were traveling in the lineup or not, it seemed like Cabo did a really good job of giving his indies, six, seven, eight guys opportunities to compete and stay sharp so that they would be
Mhm,
ready when their opportunity would come. Obviously, your freshman year, you go to play as an individual in Savannah and get a top three, and then transition into the rest of your freshman year. I do think, and maybe you can provide some commentary on this as we get into it, but it feels like you make a jump your sophomore year,
mhm,
start having better finishes. You finished third at Charleston's tournament, top 10 at the AAC, and then now we get here to 2025, 2026, competing at a very high level. A couple top 15s at some huge tournaments. Obviously, I think it was just this past week at NC State's Indy tournament,
mhm.
another top 10. So you're having like more and more consistent finishes. Your game is moving in a really cool place. What are some things that you feel like you've learned over freshman, sophomore, junior year, being in an ecosystem where you can develop? What are some things that you feel like you've learned over the course of your college journey as it pertains to golf specifically?
I think that the biggest thing for me is I've started to understand my golf game in a sense of what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what does practice look like for me, and what are the keys to me being able to play successful golf. And I think a lot of that comes back to the coaching staff, Cabo. He's done a phenomenal job with mentoring me and helping me grow and not just telling me what needs to be done, how to do it, but he's been teaching me through the process and really going into depth and laying out things
Hmm.
and helping me understand them because once my time here at Charlotte is done, whether if I continue to pursue golf, it's going to be a lot of individual time. And so, a big thing that Cabo and our assistant now, Cody Carroll, harp on is we're here to help you grow as much as we are to get the best out of you right now.
Hmm.
I've seen big improvement in the. I guess we'll get back to the more so golf aspect,
Sure, sure.
but I think I've just seen big improvements in consistency when it comes to ball striking and like play off the tee. And I was really a poor wedge player and was not very good around the greens. And that's something that I've really put a lot of work into
Hmm.
over these past 2.5 years now. That's really helped to make that stride and to allowing me to be where I'm at right now with my golf game.
Yeah. Do you think that was anything specific? Like, was there any intentionality regarding your short game, or do you think that was just a matter of time? Of like, hey, if I just put in the time, it's gonna come around at some point. Or were there any drills or things that you were harping on, or that Coach Cabo or Coach Cody were talking about?
I think that chipping was just a lot of confidence because I'd always been a decent chipper, nothing special. I could hold my own, good enough to play competitive golf. And then it was, I want to say it was first semester high school senior year. I flat out got the yips. I was either sculling it over the green. I was good to chip twice per hole if I missed a green.
Had you already committed?
Yeah, at this point, I'd already committed and was on the cusp of signing. So like Cabo was coming out, watching me play these tournaments, see the chips like that. And from the coach's perspective, he knew that's one area that had to improve when I first came in. But I think the biggest thing was just confidence and getting the reps and seeing successful reps while practicing and those eventually leading into proper execution on the golf course.
Yeah, it sounds like there was an environment created as well, even before you got to school in the first place of, hey, this is not something that I'm gonna mark you on, but this is something that we're gonna work through. I think
Mhm.
if I was 18 in that position, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, is he gonna drop my scholarship? Like,
Yeah.
if this is something that he is coming and seeing, but it sounds like it was something that's like, hey, no, let's put a plan in place. We're gonna
Mhm.
work with you, be patient, get you to a spot where you're ready. I think that's probably a mark of the ecosystem that you were heading into in the first place,
Mhm.
where it was a little bit more, a little bit more process oriented and a little less, hey, you better be, delivering for me. You better be giving me results immediately. That's an ecosystem that is ripe for being able to not skull it over the green multiple times
Yeah.
whenever you get on the green. So that's cool. Okay, that's kind of like on the golf side. I'm curious, how do you feel like you've developed maybe as a person? We talked about this a little off air. It seems like y'all have a crew that's like really tight knit. You have shout out to Davis Baxter, first of all, first and foremost, CGF, College Golf Fellowship, gets to spend a lot of time with you guys. What has it been like kind of building those bonds? It's an individual sport, but you alluded to it a little bit earlier. Things that you missed about playing baseball at a high level. You're starting to get that, competing at the highest of levels, playing in top tier tournaments, Georgia Tech, Florida, like just incredible tournaments. You're getting a taste of that. But kind of what about the bond with your teammates? Maybe if you want to shout anybody out, feel free to shout anybody out. But what do you like about being on the team that you're on?
Yeah, so I think that one of my favorite things about this team is everybody's a brother on this
Mm,
team. Like we've got 9 guys on the team. It's not 3 groups of 3 that are really
mhm,
close. Like everybody on this team's really close. And a lot of credit of that goes back to Cabo and the culture he's built this program on. He knows what kind of people he wants on this team, what kind
mm,
of personalities and all of that. And so that's one big thing that he looks for in his recruiting process. And so we've got a lot of like-minded guys on this team. Almost all of our guys have strong faith with the
mhm,
Lord, and I think that's another big thing is we're not we're not only teammates, we're not only friends, but we're brothers in Christ as well. And I think
Mhm.
that's a big one for me as a believer and someone that grew up in church and grew up in the Word of God. But yeah, there's I think a big shout outs for me are Tanner Guthrie. He was a senior, 5th year senior actually, when I was a freshman, and I think he's the one that really kind of helped me dig deeper into my relationship with the Lord when it came to inviting me to Bible studies that we have every week, getting me more involved with CGF and just mentoring me. And then also Caden Baker, he graduated last year, but he's one of the guys that really kind of brought me under their wing and kind of showed me what the program was all about, how things are done, and
Mhm.
what it looks like to be a teammate. What it looks like to be a teammate on the golf course and off the golf course.
Mhm.
And then now, it's actually the guy I live with, my roommate Justin Matthews. But he's another one of the guys that really brought me under his wing and just pushes me to not only be a better person, a better
Mhm.
golfer, but a better follower of the Lord,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just pushes me to be stronger in my faith every day. And that's something that I'll be forever grateful for. And now this year having the opportunity to live with him has been very special. But
Yeah.
definitely those three guys on the golf course, off the golf course have had a massive impact on my development, not only as a player, but as a human being as well.
That's so rich. As you spoke through that, the scripture that talks about looking not only to your own interests, but also the interest of others. It takes a lot of humility for an upperclassman, a junior or senior, to usher in and create a welcoming environment to look not only to their own interests, but look into the interest of a freshman who's trying to figure things out. Because in an unhealth, their insecurity would be like, this guy got brought on and he's trying to take my spot. He's trying to take my bag.
Mhm.
And so it does mean a lot for someone who's willing to sacrifice time, energy, and listen to you and spend time with you, invest in you, and not be insecure about what is this person going to come in and take them on, which only happens in an environment that is focused not on themselves, but on, namely, the Lord, as you mentioned. So I think
Mhm.
that's really, really cool. Shout out to UNC Charlotte. Shout out to those 49ers, man. Got a good thing going on over there. Daniel, as we kind of transition and pivot and move on a little bit in your journey, obviously, you've got the spring kicked off. We're shaking some of that cold weather. You obviously top 10 first event of the spring. What are some events that you're looking forward to as you head closer to conference play, regionals? What are some events you're looking forward to? And then also, what do you feel like you need to continue to improve on as the season progresses?
Let's see, the events that I'm looking forward to. I think one that I'm definitely really looking forward to is actually our next event,
Hmm.
the Hate down in Sawgrass. It's a great golf course, great test of your game, and it's an unbelievable tournament field this year. It's a stacked field, NCAA caliber, like great tournament, and that's one of the ones I'm really looking forward to. I played
Hmm.
in it last year, so I'm looking forward to going down there and being able to improve and see where I'm at compared to even last year. And I know this team's capable of. So every time we tee it up in a tournament, we're always excited to go out there and put ourselves in contention against some of the best.
Hmm.
And then I think another one I'm really looking forward to is Linger Longer. We're we're lucky enough to have an alumni. His family has a house down in Lake Oconee,
Hmm.
so we get the opportunity to stay in that house for that tournament, which is icing on the cake because we're
Hmm.
used to staying in hotels and everything. So being able to stay in that house and play a great golf course, just
Hmm.
a really well-rounded tournament with strength of field, quality of golf course, a player hospitality, and then there we are staying in a pretty nice house is pretty awesome, especially when you got a group of guys like we do that are so tightly
Hmm.
knit. Being in a house together like that is awesome. I think those are the 2 tournaments I'm looking forward to most on the cusp of coming up to conference.
I had a question that came to my mind as you're going through that. Obviously, you guys play one of the premier schedules in all of NCAA. It's hyper
Mhm.
competitive, playing with some of the best teams and players in the country. But you think about welcome to the NBA moment or welcome to the PGA moment. Was there ever
Yeah.
a moment for you where you got paired with a dude and you're like, whoa, like this is next level?
I wouldn't say that my welcome to I guess we'll call it my welcome to college golf moment.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say that it was being paired with somebody. I think that it started my freshman year when I played at Duke's event. It's a golf course I was really familiar with. I'd seen multiple times just throughout junior golf. And it was only like 45 minutes from my house. And just seeing the way that it was set up compared to junior golf and just how demanding college golf courses actually are. I think that's where I kind of started to, I'll use the term, dip my toes into college golf. After that event was completed, I still don't think I really understood what is college golf. Like, what does it
Mhm.
take? How good these guys actually are. But I'd say that's kind of where it's my welcome to college golf moment
Yeah.
start.
If I'm not mistaken, it was one of your first college events, wasn't it? Was
Yeah,
your
it
first?
was my very first college event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very first college event, and you're like, "I've played this course a ton. I'm gonna go deep. I'm gonna take it deep
Mhm.
this tournament." And it's like, "Oh, wait, this is different. This is the same course, but this feels way different than what it used to be."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then back to your second question of what parts
Yeah.
of or
Yeah, yeah.
what aspects of my game have I kind of think that have really led me to some of my finishes and some of my play. And what's improved is we touched on this earlier, but my chipping's been just worlds better
Yep.
than where it had been. It's a funny story.
Yeah.
There's a at our facility, there's a drain that is kind of it's got a big old bowl around it just for drainage purposes, but it's really grainy. I was hitting off the steep upslope and I had a shag bag of balls and it was kind of wet and I could not for the life of me successfully hit a chip out of out of there. And so I went through that whole shag bag and there were probably 10 balls inside the flagstick. Only 5 of them were probably hit properly.
Yeah.
And so that spot at our facility is called Boone Valley now because I got stuck down there my freshman year and just it did a number on me. But I think it's the things like that that have really helped me improve to get to where I am now. And it
Mm.
also shows like the kind of team we've got now. We have
Mhm.
that we can joke about things like
Yeah.
that even in the moment, like when it was happening. 'Cause I don't think it was but a week later that we got the name Boone Valley, and we still talk about it. But yeah, it's just kinda things like that, and the chipping's gotten a lot better, which has definitely helped, whether it be par 5 scoring or saving par, and then definitely still need to see some improvements in putting. That's the one thing that's kinda let me down. Even with my solid performances here in the past few tournaments, putting's been the one thing that's kinda let me down, but off the tee, I've been really good. Might not hit all of them solid, but they're at least putting me in a position to where I still have a shot at the green. And then my approach game has been really good. I'm probably hitting my irons the best I've ever hit them right now, which is a big factor as
Mm.
to why I've been able to play the golf that I've been playing. Just give an example. At the gear, I shot even for the 54 holes there
Yep.
and I think it was T15 in that event.
Yep.
And after I put in all my stats, I lost 11 and a half shots putting that tournament, which the greens were rolling a 14 and
Mm.
there's some good slope on them, but I think that just kind of shows like it's a nice thing for me to look back on and know is that that's a very respectable, very solid finish in a
Mhm.
good event. But looking back on it from a personal reflection, knowing that there's still room for improvement and that's not my ceiling is very reassuring.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. And then in the same way that finishing second your freshman year at the AJGA in Pinehurst, you can look back at this event at the Gator and be like, "There's some more in the tank."
Yeah. I think another event that kind of goes along the lines of this is the Bryson down in Daniel Island in our fall season. I played our first tournament in Knoxville and then got beat out of the lineup for our next event at Salina, the Brian Bros Collegiate.
Yep.
And then I managed to get back into the lineup for the Bryson. And then first round went out and was 7 under through 15. And then I did bogey the last 3 holes.
Mm.
But I think it was just knowing that like, hey, like I'm I'm capable of
Yeah.
doing that. Like I missed a putt for 29 on the front 9.
It's a lot of red.
And then it's just you do things like that and then you finish around like that, bogey, 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 and you look back on it and it's like, okay, I did so much good. What can I do better? How can I be better? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get to be honest, Adrian.
Oh, I'll get it in a second.
Are you still in the thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
so
bring 'em
No,
on,
you're
man.
good.
Bring 'em
Here,
on.
no, I'll take it from you.
And they were roommates.
Yeah, and that's my roommate.
That's cool. You just said you live with is it Fraser who'd you live with?
Justin.
Justin. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Go.
Mr. Canada.
Mr. Canada himself, right on cue. What did he drop off? Was it like dinner?
Oh yeah, it's we've got this place in Charlotte called Piata Italian Street Food,
Okay, shout out
and
Piata.
it's like here I might be able to give you a little peek here, but it's like you can kind of see a little bit.
Okay.
It's like it's like Chipotle but pasta.
Oh, man.
It's unbelievable. Every Wednesday after workouts, a couple of the guys from the team go because they do a student deal. So it's like $9 for that. So we usually make a little team. A couple of us make a little team dinner out of it after
Yeah.
workouts on
Yeah.
Wednesdays because they run the student deal all day.
You mean to tell me that you skipped Piata on Wednesdays to hop on Swing State University? You are too good of a human being. I'll be honest with you.
Hey, I got Piata every Wednesday from here until the end of my Charlotte career. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity right here.
If you really pop off in the next 5 to 10 years, then I'm gonna make you come back on. Come back and visit the little guys. Is what's gonna happen. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be all for it.
Piata, that's low hanging fruit. Obviously, Cava is having a run, the Chipotle run with Mediterranean food. The Italian Chipotle, that's low hanging fruit. Someone should have come up with that a long time ago.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite parts of the week is knowing that I'm getting that Piata after a Wednesday workout.
And delivered to your room. That's actually crazy.
Yeah, tonight was special. I got the delivery tonight.
Shout out to Justin, man. Shout out, man. All right, you guys, we are here, episode 11. We are just, moving right along. I'm joined with the fam. Like, we're literally going to spend Thanksgiving together this year with my cousin, Daniel Boone. It's so good to be with family on the show today. We're going to head into the Swing State six-pack. We got 6 rapid-fire questions for Daniel Boone Jr. at UNC Charlotte, 21st ranked team in the country right now. Looking forward to having an awesome spring. Daniel, you ready to get going?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's do it. All right, Daniel, first question. We're going favorite course you've ever played.
Favorite course I've ever played. I think it would have to be either Hazeltine. I played it in the USAM 2 years ago now, or Ridgewood Country Club up in New Jersey. I played that in USAM in
This was out of high school.
2022, and I was senior in high school. Yeah, and that course was sweet. It's definitely. I'd have to put that up there. Those are probably my two favorites as of now.
That's sick. I love those. Let's go. Favorite course you've never played?
I think the obvious answer here is going to be Augusta National, but I'm going to throw Cypress Point up there in the mix as well.
Let's go. Cypress, there's only been one other person mention Cypress. Most people mention like Pebble, Augusta. Cypress would be so sick.
Yeah, for me, I think it was just seeing the Walker Cup stuff there.
Mhm.
And it's just like you see videos, you hear stories about it, and it's like I want to get on that track one day.
All right, let's keep it pushing. Swing State six-pack. We're gonna go Dream Foursome.
Dream Foursome. I'm gonna go my dad, Tiger Woods, and Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty, favorite player on tour right now?
Right now, I think I'd have to go with Scotty just because what he's done with the quality of play and how dominant he's been, but also his faith and how open and forward he is with that and how he plays golf in honor of the Lord. I think that's something I look up to for sure. And obviously he's been so dominant. But yeah, I think that I have to say Scotty's my favorite guy on tour right now.
Is there a guy on tour that you feel like you have a similar game to? Because like I think for myself, I always gravitated. I'm 6'5", so like any golfer who was 6'4", 6'5", like Dustin Johnson was someone I always like gravitated toward.
Yeah,
anyone like that, you're like, oh man, like I want to have some takeaways from that person's game.
I don't know. That's something that I have to actually put some thought into. I wouldn't say anybody really comes to mind. But yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Just shoot me a text. Just shoot me a text. Yeah. We'll talk about it at Thanksgiving.
I'll
rush.
get back to you at the family reunion.
Yeah, no rush. No rush at all. All right, let's go. 5th question. Favorite club in your bag right now?
I gotta go driver.
Got to.
I love hitting driver. It goes far, sounds cool. I can sit at the range and hit drivers all day, even though that's the last thing I need to do.
Whenever you are on tour and you do come back on the show, my hope for you is it to be just any wedge around the green.
Yeah.
And that to be your favorite club in your bag right now. So there's time.
Maybe even in like the next 6 months, I'll be able to say it. I'll be able to tell you that like putter's my favorite club.
All right, last question, Daniel. Maybe it's Piata. Maybe that is the answer to this question. But thinking about next tournament that you win, playing super competitive schedule, win a big tournament. Where are you going out to celebrate? Your next win.
I think it's either gonna have to be Texas Roadhouse or PF Chang's.
PF Chang's, let's
Yeah.
go.
That's our travel day spot. Whether we're driving in or whether we're flying in, it's always all right. Where's the closest PF Chang?
Not every obviously most tournaments are in some metro areas, but have y'all ever kind of had to pivot if there's not a PF Chang's in the area? What do y'all do then?
Yeah, so we've actually gotten pretty lucky. I think the only time we've had to pivot was in California. I think. I could be completely off here, but I know our travel day in California, we went to In-N-Out.
Yeah.
And I had to wear the little hat because it was my first time going, and the guys were like, "Yeah, like it's team tradition. Come to California. If it's your first time, you got to wear it." So I mean, this thing was sitting like on top of my head, and I was rocking it at dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Swing State six-pack. Daniel Boone Jr. from UNC Charlotte, the 49ers. Daniel, thank you so much for hopping on the show tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
Yeah, man, it was a blast.